On December 2022 it happened. Elijah Carter, a 28-year-old black entrepreneur, had just closed up his community center, a place he had built to keep young black kids off the streets and out of trouble. As he locked the doors and headed toward his car, he never noticed the shadow lurking in the alley. Within seconds, gunshots rang out, shattering the silence. By the time neighbors rushed outside, Elijah lay lifeless on the pavement, a pool of blood staining the ground beneath him. His death wasn't just another statistic. Elijah was a man of purpose, a man who had fought against the very violence that took his life. His mother, Mrs. Carter, collapsed at the scene, wailing uncontrollably. His younger brother, Jamal, clenched his fists, swearing to find out who did this. But in a city where black lives often went unnoticed, Elijah's case would soon become another haunting mystery. Elijah was everything they didn't expect, a black man who made it out. He grew up in one of Atlanta's roughest neighborhoods but never let the streets define him. Instead of turning to crime, he turned to education. After earning a business degree, he returned home to help kids who were just like him, kids who were told they wouldn't make it. His community center, the Rising Sun, became a beacon of hope. It offered free tutoring, mentorship programs, and a safe space for young black youth. But not everyone was happy about Elijah's success. The police had harassed him before, accusing him of running gang operations inside his center. Local business owners didn't like that a young black man was making a name for himself. Even some old friends resented him for acting better than them. And then there were the threats. Anonymous calls. Graffiti on the center's walls. A bullet left in his mailbox. Elijah brushed them off. "If they hate me, that means I'm doing something right," he told Jamal one night. But deep down, even he knew he was a marked man. When the police arrived at the crime scene, they treated Elijah like just another black man gunned down in the streets. No urgency. No real effort. They barely interviewed witnesses, and within days the case went cold. Jamal refused to let his brother's name be forgotten. He started his own investigation, questioning neighbors, going through Elijah's emails, even tracking down old threats. He discovered Elijah had been receiving harassing letters from an anonymous sender, warning him to leave the city before it's too late. One message was particularly chilling. "This city doesn't belong to you. Go before we make you disappear." Jamal took his findings to the police, but they dismissed him. Gang violence, they said. Probably a drug deal gone wrong. It didn't matter that Elijah had no criminal record. It didn't matter that his community center was a symbol of hope. The narrative was already written before they even looked at the evidence. The suspects that were ignored. As Jamal dug deeper, he uncovered disturbing possibilities. A local real estate mogul, Charles Whitmore, had been buying up properties in Elijah's neighborhood, trying to gentrify the area. Elijah's community center was in the way. He had refused multiple offers to sell, standing firm in his belief that the land belonged to his people. Did Whitmore see murder as the only way forward? Officer Darren Tate had a history of racial profiling and excessive force against black men in the community. Weeks before Elijah's death, he had a heated argument with him over the center's operations. Was this personal? Tyrone Johnson, once Elijah's closest friend, had grown bitter. While Elijah was making headlines for his success, Tyrone was still struggling. Witnesses claimed he had been seen near the crime scene that night, acting suspiciously. Had jealousy turned deadly? Jamal had enough to push for a real investigation. But no matter how much evidence he found, the police refused to act. The media barely covered the story. The system had already decided Elijah Carter didn't matter. Months passed. Leads dried up. Witnesses who had once spoken out suddenly refused to talk. Fear had taken over the community. Jamal felt like he was screaming into the void, begging for justice in a world that wasn't listening. And then one night his mother received a letter. No return address. No name. Just a single sheet of paper that read, "He died because he wouldn't bow down." Jamal knew then, whoever did this was still watching. Still threatening. Still untouchable. Despite the injustice, Elijah's dream didn't die. The community refused to let his death be in vain. Donations poured in, activists took to the streets, and the Rising Sun remained open. In his honor, Jamal expanded the center, growing it into something even bigger. Elijah had planted a seed, and even in death, it continued to grow. But his murder remains unsolved. No arrests. No trials. Just silence. And so we ask, why is it that when a black man builds something great, the world tries to tear it down? And more importantly, who killed Elijah Carter? If you want more stories that uncover the hidden truths they don't want us to talk about, subscribe to our channel. Stay woke, stay informed, and never stop fighting for justice.